Everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, hosted by HRDQ-U and presented by Scott Crabtree. My name is Sarah, and I'll moderate the webinar. It will be about an hour, and if you have any questions, you can always type them into the questions box. So welcome, Scott, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sarah, and welcome everyone to Gamifying Your Leadership, Boosting Employee Engagement, Productivity, and the Bottom Line. I'm the Chief Happiness Officer at Happy Brain Science. When you found your own company, you can call yourself whatever you want, so I go with Chief Happiness Officer. You all know how hard work can be. The problem that we are here to play with today is disengagement. What do I mean by disengagement? Well, I mean essentially apathy, lack of giving your all at work. Let me tell you a very quick story from my time at Intel. I worked at Intel for over 6 years. When I started at Intel as an engineering manager, doing outreach to the video game industry that I had come from, there was a guy a few cubes down from me who had a poster up on his cube from despair.com. For those who don't know despair.com, it mocked, probably still does, mock the inspirational posters that were very trendy of the 90s in the 90s if memory serves. So the real thing had like pictures of a lighthouse, and then it said leadership across the top, and then a quote about leadership. Or teamwork, and a bunch of people rowing a crew boat together, and then a quote about teamwork. Well, this one said across the top, apathy, in giant letters. And it had a picture of a leopard lying in a tree with absolutely no expression on its face, good, bad, or ugly. And the quote below said something like, it takes 47 muscles to frown, 13 to smile, but none to sit there with a flat look on your face like you just don't care. That is disengagement, and that's the problem that we are here to play with today. Fortunately, science and experience tell us how to engage people by delivering what video games deliver. So you don't have to be a gamer to enjoy this program or learn something from it. If you don't feel the pull of video games, somebody near you does. Over 155 million players play. They spend $15 billion a year, and that's just in the United States alone. Video games are incredibly compelling. So we're looking at how video games are so compelling. And what I'm showing you here, apologies for the image overload, but I wanted to quickly show you some of the science and experience I'm drawing on today. So bottom row, perhaps least important, as much as I love them, several of my clients at Happy Brain Science, my speaking clients and coaching clients, are major video game developers and publishers. So if you're a gamer, you know these companies. The 2 rows above that are games that I have made in my career. I spent multiple decades leading the design and development of video games. So as you can see, lots of kids and family games there, an exercise game on the console, there's an iPhone game, and the orange box is this game, which is a card game that teaches happiness at work, and HRDQ is selling that and offering a discount today. Stay tuned for that. As much as I cherish my experience leading the design and development of games, I'm actually trying to draw on that experience as little as possible, because I trust science and data to guide us more than any person's opinion. At Intel, the former CEO had a quote that was often repeated in Intel meetings. The quote is, everyone has an opinion, some people have data. So I'm trying to base this presentation as much on data as possible, and that is represented by the top row. Those books and journals are about solid peer-reviewed science with random assignment, placebo control, duplication of results, all the stuff that makes good science good science. Now we're talking about the science of the most complex, highly organized object we've found so far in the universe, your brain. So science produces averages for groups. It doesn't tell you exactly what will work for you or your colleagues. But if you're willing, I'd like you to play an active role here and tell me something I can't tell you. What is most applicable for you, and how will you apply it? Before I give you my summary of what science tells us about how video games engage people, games and video games, please think for just a second, and if you like, type into chat, what do you think make games so fun, so engaging? What's at work here to make games so fun? the challenge, the interaction. Thank you for the good comments. Competition, interactive, stress relief, sight, sound, achievements, escapism, reward. These are great answers. Thank you so much for participating. Keep those coming. Here's my summary of what science tells us. Science says you can play your way to a better day by mastering ARMS every day. ARMS is my acronym for autonomy, relatedness, mastery, and surprise. Science says these are needs, core, internal, intrinsic human needs. We need autonomy, relatedness, mastery. And surprise, pleasant surprise, is a hook to bring us back. Video games satisfy these needs. The best ones satisfy all of them. All games satisfy some of them. And that's what makes games so compelling for us. You might be thinking, where's fun? Well, I love fun and I want this program to be fun. In fact, this program will practice what it preaches. This program is a game. So I will tell you when you have an opportunity to earn points, starting right now. I think showing up and focusing attention are key to success in life. And you have decided to spend your valuable time and attention with me. So I am giving you 2 points more than you will get at any other moment during this webinar. And we are using the honor system. So please track your points however you can. Get a piece of paper, jot them on your phone. Do the points matter, or is this like whose line is it anyway, where the points don't matter? Stay tuned for a little surprise and we'll see whether the points matter. For the moment, if you're listening to me, you get 2 points. Thanks so much. Don't expect 2 points down the road. Typically, I'll be giving 1 point at a time. But again, I think showing up and paying attention are vital. Speaking of paying attention, you cannot multitask according to science. Multitaskers, listen up for this part, please. I want you to experience what science tells us. Science says that multitasking makes you stupid and miserable, that you cannot effectively pay attention to 2 things at once. All you can do is rapidly switch your attention, and when you rapidly switch your attention, you pay a price. I want you to experience the price, so please participate with me, if you like, in the following. When I say go, in just a moment, I want you to silently say the alphabet as fast as you can in your own head, count from 1 to 26, and then type done in the question box or the chat box. So again, silent alphabet 1 to 26, fast as you can. Type done when you are done, please. On your mark, get set, go. And a lot of dones are coming. Don't worry if you're not done yet. You have better internal enunciation than your peers here. Thank you so much. Now, take your time if you're still going or having trouble typing into the box. Anyway, I want you all now to do it again. Silent alphabet 1 to 26. Fast as you can, type done when you're done. This time, alternate. A1, B2, C3. On your mark, get set, go. Okay, I've only got about 45 minutes left, so let me stop you there. Most of you were done at about 10, 12 seconds last time, and maybe one of you was done this time. That's what science tells us. We feel like we're going faster, but we actually slow down, make more mistakes, exhaust this prime brain real estate right behind your forehead, loosely speaking, called your prefrontal cortex. Science is clear. Multitasking makes you stupid and miserable. That's a side tangent from today's topic, but you'll note that you don't multitask when you're playing games because they're so engaging. That's great, because multitasking, according to science, makes you stupid and miserable. If you participated with me during that exercise, give yourself a point. If you actually typed done into the chat or question box, give yourself another point, please. Play your way to a better day. Master ARMS every day. I'm going to try to practice what I preach and give you these things during this webinar. I'm going to try to give you autonomy, relatedness, mastery, and surprise. See if you can see how I do that as we work through each of these. Play your way to a better day. Master arms every day. This is how you can engage your employees, engage your customers, engage your boss so you can manage up, engage anyone so they want to pay attention, give their best effort, and do their best to work for you. Autonomy, relatedness, mastery, and surprise. Question for you all. What is autonomy? I'm just looking for a dictionary definition of autonomy. Please type into chat or questions, please. Self-sufficient. Thank you. Give yourself a point, Marshall. Freedom, independence, control. Work on your own, full control. Excellent answers. If you just typed an answer into the question box, give yourself another point, please. Yes, autonomy is simply self-governance, doing what you want to be doing. Virtually every game in the world delivers autonomy. Video games deliver fantastic autonomy. One of my clients makes an amazing game called Universe Sandbox. It is literally the universe, and you can do whatever you want to it. You can take Earth and double Earth's mass and watch it spin into the sun and explode. You don't get to do that in real life. So autonomy is part of how games engage us. Please raise your hand if you like being micromanaged. Yeah, nobody does. So let's not do it to each other, right? Games don't micromanage you. They give you what? What's the easiest way to give somebody autonomy? Give them choices, but limited choices. Science suggests we give people autonomy through limited choices. Why limited choices? Well, the science is a conversation. Science is not perfect. I trust science as my #1 source for all the work I do at Happy Brain Science. But science is a conversation. One study finds something, next study finds something a little different. It's a conversation over time. So there's a conversation going on about choice. What Barry Schwartz found, professor in Pennsylvania, found excess choice means we are less happy with the choices we make. That is, if I give you 3 choices, you choose one and there's 2 things you didn't get. If I give you 100 choices, you choose something and there's 99 choices you didn't get. If any of you have ever been to the spaghetti factory for dinner, they have an enormous menu with hundreds of things on it. You can't even make sense of it all. So when you pick something, then you see other food go by and you're like, oh, clam chowder, I should have got the clam chowder. Oh, look at the lasagna. Oh, the Caesar salad. You're not as happy with the choices you make. So choices deliver autonomy. If you want to give somebody autonomy, give them choices. But 3 choices might be enough. Depends on the quality of the choices, depends on the person. Again, this is not a hard and fast rule. But generally, choice is good. Fewer choices are better. So consider giving 3, 2, or even just 1 choice. What? 1 choice isn't choice, dude. You're telling someone what to do. Well, science says that you can preserve someone's autonomy even if you don't give them any choice. Even if you say you must do this, you can give people autonomy by giving them buy-in. See how many TED Talks you watch. Please type in this person's name if you know who this is in this picture. In questions or in chat, bunch of people getting this right and even spelling it right. Well done, Simon Sinek. Give yourself a point if you got Simon Sinek's name right, or if you just said Simon, good enough. Simon Sinek has one of the most popular TED Talks in the world, and it is very popular in part because it does a good job of explaining the power of why. I want you to watch a couple minutes of this TED Talk, and I want to be completely candid and authentic with you. I'm not sure how this is going to work over your internet connections. I tested it with HRDQ, thank you again, Sarah, and it worked well. But it's possible that this will not work for some or many of you, in which case I will pause it and simply tell you what the video says. So please give me feedback in the question or chat box if the following video does not work. Here's a couple minutes of Simon Sinek about the power of why.
None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology, not psychology, biology. If you look at a cross-section of the human brain looking from the top down, what you see is the human brain is actually broken into three major components that correlate perfectly with the golden circle. Our newest brain, our Homo sapien brain, our neocortex, corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, and our limbic brains are responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior, all decision-making, and it has no capacity for language. In other words, when we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. You know, sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and figures and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal and want to be a part of what it is that you do? Again, the goal is not just to sell people who need what you have. The goal is to sell to people who believe what you believe. The goal is not just to hire people who need a job. It's to hire people who believe what you believe. I always say that, you know, there's if you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe what you believe, they work for you with blood and sweat and tears.
So that is the power of why and the power of autonomy. Simon Sinek's talk does a great job of explaining the power of why. If you give someone the why behind your request, you can give them autonomy even if you give them no choice. Again, video games do this often by giving you a cutscene at the beginning of a game. They show you a little short movie about why the princess is awesome and why you want to save the princess, or how the evil aliens are coming in and killing people and why you want to defend against the aliens. Whatever the reason is, video games, good ones, again, not all video games do all of this, but the best ones, the most successful ones do all of this. They preserve your autonomy even when they don't give you choices by giving you good buy-in. If you need buy-in, think why-in. Your reason doesn't even have to be that good is the crazy thing. A study led by Ellen Langer at Harvard, a fascinating study. I love my job because I get to read these amazing studies. The study was done many years ago when people used to use copy machines more. We still do, obviously, but they waited until somebody was doing a big copy job, and then an actor, part of the study, walked up and said one of two things to the person. One, can I jump in and make some copies? Or two, hey, can I jump in and make some copies? Because I need to make some copies. That's a content-free reason, and yet the cooperation rate jumped from just over 60 to just over 90%. Apparently, when we hear the word because, it's like a checkbox for us. Oh, well, they have a reason, so I'll do this. So come up with any reason why you want someone to do something, and you're ahead of the game. If you come up with a good reason and really explain, you get their buy-in, you preserve their autonomy, and you earn their engagement. Now, I want to give you both. Again, I'm trying to practice what I preach here. So I want to give you a minute to either talk in the question or chat box with each other, or sit silently and think to yourself and test yourself. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I want you to do those things. If you choose to sit and test yourself, the science behind that is that testing causes learning. When you think, what did I just hear about autonomy and how can I apply this? Signals your brain that that information is going to be used and therefore we should hold on to it. Science says we also learn better when we're talking about what we're learning. So if you happen to be near a colleague also watching this, great, talk with them out loud. Otherwise, please type into the question or chat box if that's your choice. For about 60 seconds, please discuss in writing or sit and test yourself. What have you heard? How can you apply this to your work to better engage people, please? Just a few more seconds on this, please. And great comments in the question box, everyone. Thank you so much. If you participated, if you typed into the box, or you actually tested yourself, please give yourself another point. Again, this is the honor system. Please do not give yourself another point if you were like, oh, minute of silence, I'm going to check my email. In fact, if I may, I'm going to say subtract a point if you multitasked during the past minute. I'm not your boss. This is the honor system, but that's what I hope you will do. I'm going to take one, or if they're very quick, 2 questions after each section. So please tell me what questions you have, and I will try to get to a popular or common question that you have. Any questions about autonomy, multitasking, or anything you've heard so far? Okay, no questions coming in, so there'll be other opportunities for questions. Thank you for telling me that you had no questions, Frederick and Sandra. Helpful. Oh, David asked a good question. How do you get people to stop multitasking? For starters, turn off notifications on computers. They are like an invitation to your addiction. Game designers like me know how to get you addicted to things, and I mean addiction loosely. I said that line at a major video game development company whose logo I showed you earlier. I said, I'm a game designer, you're game designers, we know how to get people addicted to things. Guy in the back raised his hand and said, we prefer extremely compelling. So anyway, we know how to get you extremely compelled to do something. And email and other feeds like that do it perfectly because they exceed your expectations on an unpredictable basis. So you feel this compulsion to check email. What makes that worse is the notifiers that are installed by default on most systems. So, bing, you got an email. You want to read it? I'm going to play you a sound. I'm going to shake this box. Come on, everybody, you love motion. And most insidious of all, I'm going to show you the first line of email, but then start fading out. And brains hate incomplete thoughts, so we feel compelled to open up our email and check it, and then we've lost flow, that productive zone, we've lost focus, and we're multitasking and hurting our own performance. So that's one way to help people stop multitasking. Keep the good questions coming. I don't know how many I'll be able to answer here, but I'll do the best I can. Next up in ARMS, relatedness, autonomy, relatedness, mastery, surprise! Now relatedness. Please type into the question box, what is a dictionary definition of relatedness? Familiarity, understanding, connection, common interest, connection with others, associated with others. Yes, most literally, this is being related to somebody. You're my brother, sister, daughter, parent, but we use relatedness anytime we can relate to other people. So you're part of my tribe. We're both in the same company. We're on the same team. We connect. We belong together. That's relatedness. Now, many of you might be thinking, dude, video games and relatedness? I'm playing by myself in my basement. What are you doing? Well, not all games deliver relatedness. A lot of games are single player games, but Words with Friends is a smash hit. And there were a lot of word games before words with friends came out. And I would submit to you all that it's the with friends part that makes the game more successful. We can get relatedness through any multiplayer game. We can also relate to characters in video games. If you play a game with good character development and you feel a bonding to Roger the Rocket Mechanic or Julie the Jester or whatever the character is, then you're getting some relatedness that way. Same thing for you and your leadership. Help people relate to you. If you want to engage them, they need to relate to you. Let me show you the best relatedness building tool I have ever seen. It is called a Pechakucha presentation, or if you pronounce it correctly in Japanese, it's more like Pachakcha. We called them Pikachu presentations at Intel, which is where I used these first, because it was all we could remember, and it's vaguely suggestive of how we use these. So quick story. I was on my team of leaders at Intel, and then we had some personnel changes, and some new people came in. And I don't know if any of you happen to work at Intel or know people who have. It's a wonderful company. It's also an intensely competitive place. So my new fellow leaders and I were competing for our boss's raises and praises. That competition turned to conflict, and that conflict turned ugly. We were not relating well to each other. My stress went up, stayed up. My happiness went down, stayed down. My results went down and stayed down. So I realized this was affecting not just how I felt, but the quality and the quantity of the work I was doing. So I went to my boss and I said, "Hey, boss, bet you've noticed the tension on the team lately." And he said, and I quote, "Oh yeah, what do you want to do about it?" So we talked about team building, and together we arrived at these Pechakucha presentations. This is simply a presentation format that comes out of the Japanese design and architecture community. As you can see on screen, it's 20 pictures, 20 seconds each. The slides are on auto advance. We were an Intel performance optimization team, so we cut the number of slides and duration per slide in half. That's 4 times the performance, people, if you do the math. We also made a rule for our relatedness building, for our trust building and teamwork building, that you could not show anything about your career. Had to be about you as a human being. So my new peers and my boss and I all created these and presented them to each other. Mine went very roughly like this. I was born and raised in Massachusetts, born in Western Mass, raised mostly north of Boston in and around a town called Andover. I'm convinced the Red Sox infection comes in the hospital in Massachusetts. Going to be a good year for the Red Sox. I was specifically raised on the campus of this fancy pants boarding school in Andover, where my dad, a PhD, taught math for 30 years. I learned countless things, one of which was, some people have a lot more money than we, don't they? From there, I went to Vassar College in upstate New York, turned co-ed in 1969, in case you're wondering. Vassar is where I got a degree in cognitive science and became really enthralled with brains and what makes us tick and not tick so well between the ears. Moved from upstate New York to my beloved Oregon, where I live now. This is my beloved wife and I on the stunning Oregon coast. This is my father holding my oldest daughter, Althea, shortly after she was born over 9 years ago. My wife likes to crack the joke that new babies and old men look alike, so we've always found this picture amusing in that way. Here's the rest of some of my family from left to right. That goes sister, brother, mother, niece, nephew, brother, daughter, sister-in-law, and wife. I love making music, have been in lots of bands, played lots of instruments, got a royalty check from BMI in the mail in the past few years. Super exciting, lifetime goal achieved, even though with that royalty check, I could buy any 2 of you a cup of coffee. I love nature and backpacking. I swear I'm not compensated by the Oregon Department of Tourism when I show you Jefferson Park, maybe the most beautiful place I have ever been. This is what's called a hanging valley. You're halfway up Mount Jefferson, and all of a sudden it levels out and is lakes and streams and flowers and little trees right around tree line, and you're surrounded by nature, and it is stunning. We get terrible family shots, even hiring a professional photographer. I am putting on my multiple chin display here. Althea on the right, grown up, is like, "How's this? I'm smiling as hard as I can." And Zinnia, my youngest, in my arm looks a little bit like, "Please don't squeeze me to death, Daddy." So we created and presented these to each other, and the difference was immediate and significant. We immediately related to each other better. And because we were more related to each other, we engaged each other better. Again, engagement is not just bosses engaging employees. This is how you engage your peers, how you engage your boss, how you engage your customers or your partners or your stakeholders. If you want to engage someone, give them relatedness. Again, this is a model of needs. We need relatedness, but we're so busy we don't get to know each other. This PechaKucha template, these PechaKucha presentations are the best relatedness building tool I've ever seen in my multiple decades of career. I have a free template for you, PowerPoint template that makes it easy to create these for each other. You can find that on my site, happybrainscience.com. Or if you search for Happy Brain Science PechaKucha, spelled here on the screen, you will very quickly find it. Otherwise, it's under free resources on my site, happybrainscience.com. Highly recommend creating and presenting these to each other. If you have a group of people who could stand to relate to each other better, work better together, be more engaging with each other, create and share PechaKucha presentations to build relatedness. We need relatedness. When you satisfy that need, you are a more engaging leader. Of course, it's not all about people relating to you, it's you relating to them as well. So pay attention when they do their PechaKucha presentations and relate to them in general. I'm not proud of this, but when I was at Intel, I was very results focused, and there was a period when I wouldn't ask anyone any personal questions. It was like, we have a one-on-one, what's the agenda, what's the business, stay focused. I now realize how short-sighted that is. When we connect on a human level, hey, how's your mom? Hey, how's your kid? You said she was sick last week. Those personal questions are not a waste of time. They build relatedness, therefore engagement, therefore the bottom line. Engagement boosts the bottom line, results, and even people's well-being and lives outside of work. Engagement is win-win. Earn that win-win by relating to others and helping them relate to each other. How can you help people relate to each other? Insist, if possible, that people show up in person for your meetings. I know some of you are on the East Coast and having a mountain of snowfall outside. You can't always be in person, but do your best to get in person if you can. Make eye contact. If you can't do that, do a video conference. I hope some of you are watching my video, hello, so you can see me. If you can see me, you can relate to me a little better. Help people relate to each other. You might take out the smallest tables in your break room or your lunchroom and replace them with bigger tables, or at least slide those two-person tables together so that you have a community table in the middle. A study has found that people's happiness, therefore creativity and productivity and resilience and more, happiness and therefore results go up when you put bigger lunch tables in your lunchroom because it nudges people to chat with each other over lunch and get some relatedness. One of my favorite tools is a walking one-on-one. Suggest that you and your boss, when you have your one-on-one, go on a walk if you can. If you can go on a walk for the one-on-ones that you do with your reports, great, go on a walk. Science says your mood will come up, your stress will come down, and you'll remember that meeting better. Walking one-on-ones are great ways to relate. Lots of other ideas you may have on how to build relatedness. Right now, a quick minute of either silent testing yourself or typing into the question box. What have you heard? How can you deliver relatedness and engage people as a better leader? There's a question, what's my site again? It is happybrainscience.com. happybrainscience.com. Minute of silence, test yourself or talk about it in the question box. How can you use relatedness to better engage people at work, please? Just a few seconds left. Love these answers, people. Great answers and suggestions on how to build relatedness at work. Love it. We have time for one quick question here. So please tell me what questions you have about relatedness or anything we've covered so far. While I'm waiting for questions, we have team giveaways. People bring people closer physically. Have all the tables facing each other in training. Awesome ways to build relatedness. Questions on relatedness or anything. Okay, question here is, just lost it. What if people just won't get along? The PechaKucha format is a great way to get them to get along better. It's hard to hate people you don't, it's hard to hate people you know better. So get people to know each other better through the PechaKucha presentation. There's multiple questions around what if people fear presenting to each other? What if people don't want to share personal information? Remember, the first thing in ARMS is autonomy. So don't force this on anyone. Invite people to share PechaKuchas and then give them autonomy in how they do it. So I've seen PechaKuchas that are very personal, and I've seen PechaKuchas that are hardly personal at all. Here are foods and restaurants and movies that I like. That's not terribly personal, but it's still not about work. So again, someone tells me the PechaKucha link is not working. Really? Okay, well then, sorry, go to my site, happybrainscience.com, or search for Happy Brain Science PechaKucha, and you will find it. For the sake of time, I need to move on from relatedness to mastery. Whoops, somehow I clicked the wrong slide. Pardon me 1 second while I catch up. Next in ARMS, autonomy, relatedness, mastery. What is mastery about? It's about being competent. It's about getting better at things. Virtually every video game in the world satisfies our need for mastery. Even if it gives you very few choices, even if there's no relatedness, even if there's no surprise, almost every video game gives you a way of getting better at the video game. We need to feel competent. We need to feel confident. So when you satisfy needs for competence, confidence, mastery, improvement, whatever you want to call it, you are a more engaging leader. So do what video games do. Satisfy needs for competence, confidence, mastery, progress, improvement. Progress is hugely engaging. Brilliant Harvard professor named Teresa Amabile wrote a book and a Harvard Business Review article called The Progress Principle, and it details the science behind how engaging progress is. So whether you call it progress or mastery or whatever you call it, improvement matters. So what can you do? You can do what video games do and rubber band difficulty. Sorry, see how multitasking makes you stupid and miserable? Someone said that there was a problem on my site, and I got stupid by trying to deal with the problem. See, I'm still stupid trying to multitask. Sorry, I'm not going to look at comments anymore. I apologize. There's a problem on my site. I'm going to fix it. And if you want, email me. I'm Scott@happybrainscience.com. Again, Scott@happybrainscience.com. And I will email you the PechaKucha template if you can't get it some other way. And right after this webinar, I'll look at my site and make sure that it's working. So back to where I was before I distracted myself. Rubber band difficulty the way video games do. What is that talking about? Rubber banding is a term that comes from racing games. So picture Mario Kart or any other racing game you've ever played. There's you and there's 3 computer-controlled cars on a course. What the game does, this doesn't happen with real human players, but with computer-controlled players, it's as if there's an invisible rubber band between you and the other drivers. If you're really good and get far ahead, whoop, those computer-controlled cars are right there with you. And conversely, if you are playing super tired and crashing your way around the back of the course, all of a sudden those computer-controlled cars start making a lot of mistakes and driving very slowly, giving you a chance to catch up. Why? Because close races are fun races. And feeling like you're competent, you're in the race, is highly engaging. So rubber band difficulty for yourself and others for work. Non-rhetorical question, I'm asking you to type comments into the question box. How can you make something easier for yourself or somebody else at work? I'll get you started. Lots of milestones and a goal. If you just give the goal, it's hard. Goal and lots of milestones, you break it down and make it easier. Great suggestions here. Listen, clear written directions. Talk to them, chunk it out, small steps, ask for help, offer help, coaching, provide resources. Excellent answers. Meet people where they are. Now, keep those answers coming, but also I want you to shift now. How can you make something harder? If something's too easy for someone, how can you rubber band difficulty to make it harder for them? Delegate more tasks, less direction, give too many steps, add responsibility, increase the load, challenge them. Excellent answers. Such good answers. Ask someone to do something in a different way. Give them additional responsibilities, revise the goals, give them a stretch goal. Great answers. If you typed into the box, please give yourself a point. If you typed in 2 answers, give yourself 2 points, please. I reward participation if you haven't noticed. Thanks for participating and earning your points. If you rubber band difficulty the way that video games do, you will, getting back on track here. Another way of increasing mastery is to give and get immediate feedback and celebrate progress. So video games do this all the time. Think about any video game you have ever played, and you will hear some of what people brought up earlier when I said, why are games so fun? Lots of sights and sounds, they're all giving you feedback, right? Bing, 10 points, ba-ding, 50 points, woo, now you're a level 3 lizard, you just got injured. We're constantly flashing you information, giving you sounds. We are giving you as much feedback as possible all the time. We celebrate your progress. We give you loading bars even when we're loading up to the next level. We give you health bars that show you how much health you have. We give you a progress bar for how many health points you've taken off the enemy before you kill it. We're constantly trying to give you information about progress. Progress in the moment, bing, you just got 10 points. Progress over level, you just leveled up to be a level 4 army guy now. And we give you feedback over time, right? Here you are in the ladders of other players playing this game. You are in the Silver League and you've moved up 10 ranks over the past month. We're giving you feedback immediately, short-term and long-term, as much as possible, as positive as possible, but lots and lots of feedback and celebration of progress. If you do the same thing, you will be a more engaging leader. If you are sick to death of giving people feedback and communicating, you are probably doing just barely enough of it. Science is clear, data is clear, feedback, recognition, highly motivating for us at work. Furthermore, to emphasize mastery, help your colleagues and yourself get into flow. Flow is the zone where everything is clicking. I mentioned this briefly earlier. Flow comes when you have just the right amount of challenge. If you have a challenge that is too easy for you, you end up bored or variations of bored. If you have a challenge that's too hard for you, you end up anxious or variations of anxious. But when you have just the right ability to meet the challenge, you get in the zone where everything is clicking. Video games are good for getting you into flow. You get absorbed into what you're doing. You get engaged into what you're doing. This is what this is all about. Deep engagement. Earn that deep engagement. Be an engaging leader by helping people take on challenges that are at just the right level of difficulty for them. Help your colleagues and yourself get into flow, and you will be a more engaging leader. That is mastery. Again, you can predict what's coming here. Again, because of science, because science suggests it will be helpful to you, I want you to either take a minute and test yourself. What have you heard about mastery and how can you apply it? Or if you prefer, type into the question box again. What have you heard about mastery? How can you apply this to level up your leadership, please? About a minute of silent self-testing or commenting on mastery. Great comments, keep them coming. A few seconds left here, and then I'll take questions. Wonderful comments from everyone in the question box. Thank you so much. Ongoing feedback and engagement. Foster flow, give rewards for participation, ask questions, give lots and lots of feedback. Mastery is being confident, celebrate progress. Wonderful comments and questions, everyone. Thank you so much. Again, if you type something into the question or chat box, give yourself a point. If you did the silent self-testing and really did it, give yourself a point. If you multitasked at all during the past 5 minutes, please subtract a point from your total. Please tell me what questions you have about mastery or anything else we have done so far. While I'm waiting for questions, appeal to senses, display progress, deliberate practice, be willing to fail. Excellent. How do you help someone when the feedback always has to be, it needs to be done better? Such a good question. Unfortunately, we have what scientists call a negativity bias. That negativity bias means we focus on what's wrong, not what's right. It also means that negative feedback weighs more to us than positive comments. So we're often coached as leaders to give people a feedback sandwich. Say something good, tell them something critical, tell them something good again. Science says it does not work. If you want to leave people feeling good, you need 3 or more positive comments to outweigh a negative one, because one negative comment means more to us, weighs more to us. So we need lots of positive feedback if you want to feel someone feeling competent, confident, making progress, feeling mastery over what they're doing. So as a leader, work to overcome your negativity bias and give lots and lots of positive feedback, genuine, specific feedback. Here's a recipe I like for feedback. What's the specific behavior you're grateful for? What's the business difference it made? And what's the emotional difference it made? That specific feedback can mean a lot to us. And science says we need lots of positives for every one negative. What can you do if your boss is really negative? That's really tricky. But try to share this science with them. Have him or her watch this webinar recording if they're not here. Science is abundantly clear. Positive feedback works. Thank you for all the questions. I wish I had time for all of them. We'll see if we have time for more questions at the end. For the moment, we are moving on in ARMS: autonomy, relatedness, mastery, and surprise. Why surprise? Because video games do this all the time. I mentioned this to you earlier. Positive surprises bring you back for more. If I want to get you playing my game over and over and over again, I positively surprise you. It's not every time. Studies done on rats in cages. If you want to keep a rat hitting a lever in a cage, you don't feed it every single time it hits the lever, but you feed it most of the time it hits the lever. Sometimes you don't, and sometimes you jackpot it with food. Oh, you hit the lever, here's 11 pellets of food. Those surprises above expectations essentially flood the brain with dopamine and tell the brain, whatever this was, let's do this again. Was this playing this video game? I want to do this again and again and again because I just got a crate full of goodies, armor and weapons and stuff I needed. A huge crate full of awesome stuff just came out of that enemy that I just killed. I'm so pleasantly surprised. My brain is flooding with dopamine and making me want to do this again. As a leader, how can you pleasantly surprise people? How can you exceed their expectations? If you do, you will get them hooked on you as a leader. They will be hooked as a follower if you exceed their expectations. So think, apply this. How can you exceed people's expectations? When you exceed expectations, you get people hooked on you as a leader. Give them great feedback that they don't expect from you. Give them an award out of the blue, not scheduled, not employee of the month. Those don't work as well because they're expected. Give them, hey, that was great work. Here's a gift card to Starbucks or your favorite restaurant. Send somebody's spouse flowers if you're asking that person to work extra hours at work. There's a million ways to exceed someone's expectations. Sometimes it doesn't take any money or much time at all. Just saying, hey, that's great strategic thinking in a meeting in front of their peers is a great reward. Reward people in ways they don't expect, and you will get them hooked on you as a leader. Here's how I hope to pleasantly surprise you here today. I have a free ebook on this topic. So this is essentially the handout. Some of you have been asking about a handout. This is the handout. Trust me, there's more than we had time to go over in today's webinar. So free ebook that goes in depth on this topic. You can get this ebook by texting Happy HRDQ. I don't think case matters, but just in case, capital H, capital HRD, and capital Q to 444999. If you are not in the United States, this will not work for you. If you're not in the United States or you run into technical difficulty, or I didn't get to answer your question, please email me, scott@happybrainscience.com. There are hundreds of you on this webinar, and I may not be able to answer every question if every single one of you emails me, but I will do my best. Hopefully the texting system will work. I want to be crystal clear with you and not disappoint you. If you do this, I will add you to my email list. I send out tips typically the first Wednesday of each month with tips on happiness and engagement at work. It's one click to unsubscribe. I try to sell you very little. I have a business. I will try to sell you things occasionally or point out that I do workshops, but mostly I try to be as helpful as possible with my mailings. So sorry if I warned you too late and you already signed up. Again, one click to unsubscribe. Text Happy HRDQ to 444999 to get a free ebook on this topic. I hope that's a pleasant surprise. If I pleasantly surprised you, you might be more inclined to sign up or follow me or come to the next webinar that I do with HRDQ. Here's another way I hope to pleasantly surprise you. Just telling you I'm about to go off this screen. So if you're debating whether or not to text Happy HRDQ to 444999, please write it down. I'll try to come back to this screen, but I don't want you to miss your chance. So do it right now or write down if you're unsure, Happy HRDQ, text that to 444999, or again, if that doesn't work for any reason, email me, I'm scott@happybrainscience.com. Another way I hope to surprise you, warning, this is slightly self-promotional, but I hope I'm doing you a favor and therefore this is okay. And we're essentially near the end of the webinar here. I do have a little more content, but very quickly, what do you do with those points you've earned? Each point is $1 off my online course that I call Thrive from 9 to 5, the Science of Happiness at Work. So you tell me how many points you got. I believe the maximum number of points I gave out was 10. I believe that's the maximum discount you can get off the e-course. So there's the site where you want to find it, or again, you can go to my site and you'll find the e-course. If you just go to happybrainscience.com, you'll find it if you don't want to type in that extremely long URL. And again, apologies if this is too salesy, but I'm trying to reward you for earning points and hopefully pleasantly surprise you. $1 off my e-course. It's $79 to start. I frankly think that's a bargain. I charge thousands of dollars to come to companies and present. But anyway, $1 off every point you earned. It's the honor system. Please enter HRDQ and then the number of points you earned from 1 to 10. So HRDQ5, HRDQ8, HRDQ10, and you will get that many dollars off If this doesn't work for any reason, again, email me, please. Hope that pleasantly surprised you. When you pleasantly surprise people, you are a more engaging leader. You can play your way to a better day. You can play your way to better engagement by mastering ARMS every day. Autonomy, relatedness, mastery, surprise. My question for you all is when, where, and how will you apply what you've learned? This is a non-rhetorical question. This makes no difference to you if you don't do something differently. To help you do something differently, I'm being very specific with my questions. Because science says when you say when and where you're going to do something, you're more likely to follow through. The when and where, in fact, can be a cue to help you build a habit. So if you say, I'm going to give people more feedback, great. But if you say, I'm going to go give more people feedback in walking one-on-ones around the office outside, you're more likely to follow through. If you're going to say, I'm going to be more positive with my colleagues to get more positivity to outweigh my negative feedback, great. If you say I'm going to bring lots of positivity to the beginning of staff meetings each week in the big glass conference room, you're more likely to follow through. So please, thank you so much for typing your answers into the question box here. More points, even though the points don't matter, but take them if you haven't yet bought my e-course and you decide you want to. When, where, and how will you apply what you've learned? Write a very specific answer. People are typing in things like with new hires. I'm going to bring snacks and goodies to meetings to surprise people. I'm going to suggest to the VP of HR that she use the Pechakucha activity to build more relatedness. I'm going to do this in my trainings. Awesome feedback, awesome answers. Everyone, thank you so much. Please, for your own sake, look, I'm not your boss. It doesn't matter to me, except that my mission is to help people thrive at work. Please follow through. Write down when, where, and how will you apply what you've learned. Follow through, and you will be a more engaging leader. And you and the people you work with will have better lives. Play your way to a better day. Master ARMS every day. Autonomy, relatedness, mastery, surprise. Very quick summary. Disengagement makes your hard work harder. When people don't care, when they're not engaged, when they're not giving you their best effort, everybody suffers, not just the bottom line. Employee lives are worse outside of work when they're less engaged at work. Engagement matters. Disengagement is a problem. Science and experience tell us why and how to engage people by delivering what games deliver. If you want to read more, top row or the ebook that I gave away has more information and more about sources. What does all that science tell us? Play your way to a better day. Master ARMS every day. Autonomy, relatedness, mastery, surprise. Again, free ebook on this topic. Text Happy HRDQ to 444999. Thank you so much for the time and attention and playing along with me. Sarah, back to you for wrap up, I believe.
All right, yes, thank you so much, Scott. We do not have time for any more live questions, but just a heads up, we're actually offering a 20% discount off of the Choose Happiness at Work, which is the foundation of this webinar. And for more information, just go ahead and click on that promo handout. It should be in your dashboard on GoToWebinar. So Scott, thank you so much again, and everybody in the line, we appreciate your time, and we hope you found today's webinar informative. Thanks.
Thank you.